An interesting case to take a look at in light of the news of the last 24 hours. 13 flight attendants are fighting to get their jobs back. The former United Airlines workers say they were simply spooked when they saw this message on their plane. The ominous note saying bye-bye was found before a flight from San Francisco to Hong Kong back in July. The flight attendants requested a security inspection. They wanted everybody off the plane so it could be properly checked. They were denied, though, so they refused to fly, and the flight was canceled, and they were then fired, all of them, for insubordination. Now they're filing a complaint asking for their jobs and back pay. For a legal debate on this, Anna Hume, a former prosecutor and criminal defense attorney, and Wendy Patrick, a San Diego County Deputy District Attorney and prosecutor. So, Wendy, who's right in this, the flight attendants or United Airlines?
Well, I got to tell you, it's flight attendants like these that allow the rest of us to relax, sit back, and enjoy our flight. This is not a band of rookies. These were veteran flight attendants, 13 of them. They had, almost 300 years of experience between them. But putting this into context, also remember what was going on around the time of this incident. This was 4 months after Malaysian Flight 370 went missing. It was 1 week after TSA reported that cell phones could be used as explosive devices. And these flight attendants did the right thing and should not have been fired for insubordination because remember that they have that anti-retaliation protection, which is what they're alleging now.
Interesting. Now, we should point out where this was drawn, Anna, on the plane was 30 feet from the ground. So you had to have some sort of equipment to get up there. You couldn't just stand on the tarmac and do this to the plane. That said, the flight attendants are not the authority on the flight. So getting back to the original question, who's right here?
That's right. This is a very interesting case, and it really can come down to who has the authority to make that decision. Is it United Maintenance? Is it United Supervision who decides, is this a perceived credible threat? Or is it the flight attendants? Of course, my heart goes out to the flight attendants because they're in a situation here where they're the ones flying in the friendly skies, so to speak. And had I known about this information if I was a passenger, of course, I wouldn't want to be on that plane. But with that said, you have to keep in mind that United takes measures to make sure that credible threats are perceived, credible threats are looked into. And what they're saying is that they looked into these credible threats, they have the authorities to be able to make that decision, and unfortunately that doesn't come down to what the flight attendants want.
What Anna's saying, Wendy, is that you can basically be right and make the right decision, but you could still be breaking policy, and therefore you can still be fired.
Well, you can be fired, but that's only one of the options that were available to the airlines. And what really happened here is, this is something that was missed. I mean, first of all, it's a sick joke. Any amateur will tell you jokes are supposed to be funny. In a post 9/11 world, what was found on the tail cone of the plane was the last thing from a joke. So you have to look at the fact that a sweep apparently missed it. Now, what they're debating is, did they miss it in Seoul, where the plane came from, or did they miss it in San Francisco? You lose either way. It was missed, and so how good was that security sweep? That's one of the things that the flight attendants cited is, let's do it again. Let's do it more carefully now that we know it was missed the first time. And that was not unreasonable.
That was denied. We should point out that we still don't really know, and Wendy mentioned it here as well, that we don't really know who did this and whether or not it was we don't really know anything about it, Anna. It's just sort of this weird thing that happened. And I wonder if legally this sets a bad precedent, though, if United is allowed to fire them. I mean, they've already have, but the challenge doesn't go through. If it sets a bad precedent for flight attendants not to speak up when they really are concerned that a plane needs to be searched.
Absolutely. I think it could definitely set a bad precedent. And I think that United has to be very careful as to how they approach this case, because if you think about it, what Wendy was saying is that we don't know exactly when that threatening message was written. So with that in mind, there should have been more precautionary measures taken to look into that. So United has to look into their policies, and they're really going to have to consider, is this going to be a bad precedent, and how is this going to affect future flight attendants and whether they want to fly or not?
Interesting. I'm sure all of our viewers are thinking about it. Would I want to get on that plane and just fly without it just being checked one more time, even though there's a little smiley face? I don't know. I'm not sure. Anna, Wendy,
I wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't think I would either. Anna, Wendy, great to have both of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jenna.